Hey mamas, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nina Spears, also known as the Baby Chick, and today we're talking about a question I get all the time as a birth doula. How will I know when I'm really in labor? I recently had a client who was asking me this at the end of her pregnancy. She was so nervous she wouldn't recognize the signs, and I totally understand why. But sure enough, when the time came, she knew. That's why today I'm going to break it down for you so you'll know exactly what to look for as labor gets closer, plus the true signs of labor that tell you when it's really happening. This way, you'll know when to start heading to the hospital or when to call your midwife if you're having a home birth. So let's get started. As you approach your due date, there are several signs that labor is getting closer. These don't mean that labor is starting right this instant, but they're your body's way of preparing for birth. So number one is when your baby is dropping, which is also known as lightening. This is when your baby moves lower into your pelvis and their head engages more. If you notice your belly is looking lower or you can breathe a little bit more because you have room around your lungs, this could be a good sign. For first-time moms, this usually happens around 2 to 4 weeks before labor starts. And for moms who've had a baby before, it may happen closer to labor, sometimes even right before it begins. Number two, cervical dilation. Your doctor or midwife might offer to check your cervix at your prenatal visits to see if you're dilating. And dilation is measured in centimeters, from 0 centimeters, which is completely closed, to 10 centimeters, which is fully dilated. But here's the thing that I need you to know. Dilation alone does not predict labor. Some moms can be 0 centimeters and go into labor the next day, while others might be walking around at 4 or 5 centimeters for weeks with no contractions. So don't stress too much about the numbers. Your body is working behind the scenes to get ready for labor in its own time. Number three, losing your mucus plug. The mucus plug is a thick buildup of mucus that seals the cervix and helps protect your baby from the outside world and bacteria. So as your cervix is softening, thinning out, and it starts to open and dilate, your mucus plug may come out in one thick glob or in smaller pieces over time. So this usually happens when you go to the bathroom and wipe yourself. You'll notice either a big thick glob on your tissue, or you might not notice it at all because it's also normal to have a lot of discharge at the end of your pregnancy. And your mucus plug can be clear, yellowish, or even streaked with blood, which is totally normal. Losing your mucus plug doesn't mean labor is happening right away, but it is a sign that things are moving in the right direction. I've had some clients go into labor that night after losing their mucus plug, and some clients go into labor a couple of weeks afterward. You just never know. Number four, other signs that labor is approaching are nesting. It's that sudden burst of energy where you just want to clean, organize, and get everything ready in the house. Weight stabilization or slight loss. Some moms actually stop gaining weight or even lose a pound or two right before labor, which is a fun fact. And also diarrhea. Just like your uterus is preparing for birth, your digestive system loosens up too. So if you notice more frequent trips to the bathroom, labor may be near. Now, let's talk about the real deal signs that labor has actually begun. The first thing, strong, frequent contractions. True labor contractions are regular. They happen at consistent intervals and are getting closer together over time. They get stronger. They start mild but gradually increase in intensity over time. They can be painful and have some discomfort, so they usually feel like strong menstrual cramps, intense gas pain, or major tightening across your belly or lower back. They're also unstoppable. No matter what you do, they won't go away. Even if you change positions, rest, or drink water, they just keep coming. And if your contractions are coming every 5 to 10 minutes and they're getting stronger, closer together, you're in early labor. The second is bloody show. Bloody show is a mix of mucus and blood from the cervix. So your cervix has capillaries, and when your cervix dilates, it breaks those capillaries, causing there to be blood with your mucus as your cervix is thinning. So this can look red, pink, or even brown. If you see this along with your contractions, that is a great sign that labor is progressing. And third, low back pain or belly pain. Some moms describe early labor as intense period cramps or lower back pressure that just doesn't go away when changing positions. And this is different from Braxton Hicks contractions, which usually go away when you rest or drink water or are not as intense. The fourth thing, your water breaks. Your baby is surrounded by a sac of amniotic fluid, and when this sac breaks, the fluid, of course, comes out. Some moms may feel a big gush, which means you have a low tear and the water below baby's head gushed out. Others notice a small trickle, which means you have a high tear and the water is working its way around the sac to come out, which both are normal. A helpful way to remember what to look for is the acronym COAT or TACO. T for taco, time. Note when your water breaks, since the risk of infection increases the longer it is broken. A, amount. It could be a slow leak or a big gush, like I mentioned. And also, fun fact, when your water breaks, you don't stop leaking until the baby is born. Your water will keep coming out and it doesn't stop until the birth of your baby. C, color. The fluid should be clear or slightly yellow. If it is green or brown, you need to let your provider know because this means baby pooped inside, which is their meconium. O, odor. Amniotic fluid has a mild, regular vaginal scent, but if you smell something foul, it's time to call your care provider. If you're unsure whether your water broke, call your doctor or midwife. They can do a simple test to confirm if it's amniotic fluid or just urine. So now you know the key signs of labor. But when should you actually head to the hospital or call your midwife? Here's what you need to know. You'll need to head to the hospital or your birth center if your contractions are at least 5 minutes apart, lasting 1 minute long each, and that is a consistent pattern for at least 1 hour. This is known as the 5-1-1 rule. Some people do 4-1-1 or 3-1-1. It really just depends on what you prefer, especially if you're wanting to use pain medication during your labor. Also, you'll want to get ready to head to the hospital or call your midwife if your water breaks, especially if it's green, brown, or has a strong odor. Another, if you're experiencing heavy bleeding, not just bloody show, that's time to call or go in. And lastly, if you feel a gut instinct that something just isn't right, trust your intuition. Call or go in. If you're ever unsure about anything, just call your provider. They'd much rather hear from you sooner than later to make sure you and your baby are healthy and safe. All right, mamas, I hope this video helps you feel more confident about recognizing when labor is really starting. Comment down below which sign surprised you the most. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more pregnancy and birth tips, and follow me on Instagram at @thebabychick for daily advice and support. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers to pregnancy and listening to your body.